All right, guys, welcome. This is Keinan Briggs, athlete, coach, and mentor. We are in our webinar called The Formula to College Sports. The main reason for having this is, over the years, I've been coaching athletes, and I just kind of came down to what does a coach want out of an athlete? And of course, it's running faster, being stronger, more athletic. But when you get that athlete, what do you want from that athlete? And typically, you want a good person and a person to work with, because when you're recruiting an athlete, you're essentially recruiting or adopting a person. And as you bring that person into your life, you want people that are going to be positive, inspiring, and help your program just develop and be that much more. And through the years, I've been able to realize that and put that into my program with Leap Squad. And that's what Leap stands for: Lead, Elevate, Achieve, and Prevail. And from there, I started applying more of these concepts to the athletes. And as the athletes went off to college, I got the feedback from the coaches saying, your athletes they're durable, they're motivated, they're easy to work with, very low maintenance. And then obviously during this quarantine time, we've been able to figure things out a lot more because we had a lot more downtime. And I decided to put this course together. And the course we'll get into later on. But this course that I put together basically is to help you guys understand what the coaches are looking for and how to pull out the most out of your character. And with that being said, I wanted to have my athlete parents on board to really just break down what they went through, their experiences, the things they learned, the things they already knew, things they enhanced, and how the program actually helped their athlete just get more opportunity and more exposure. So with that being said, we're going to start by introducing the parents. First, we're going to start by Lyon, parent of Madison Lyon, and I'm going to cut to him and have him explain a little bit about himself and his daughters, both of them, but Maddie specifically, and go from there. So let me go ahead and go to that, and we have Lyon. How's it going?
Thanks, Keinan. It's going well. Thanks for having me. As you indicated, well, the slide indicates my name is James, but that's my formal birth name, but I go by Jay. And I'm the father of two daughters, Lexi Lyon, who's my youngest, and my oldest, who is Madison. And Madison's been with the Leap Squad since a little over 6 years. She started when between her 5th and 6th grade year in elementary school. She is a recent graduate from Woodbridge High School here in Irvine, and in just about a month, September 8th, she'll be packing up and going to Oregon State to run track for the Oregon State women's track and field team.
Nice. Thank you very much. And I'm really excited. Obviously, with all the athletes leaving, I always get a little sad. Some athletes more than others, and I'll get into that later on. But next on, we're going to link up with is, there we go, Frank Butolo. He has 2 kids that are currently competing in college, but he has a lot more than that, and he'll get into detail with that. He's a great dad, just like Jay Lyon is, and his athletes, Dominique Rotolo, for those who are familiar with Leap Squad, you've seen her face a lot. And then Titan Rotolo, who's been doing a lot of great things. He's going to introduce his 2 kids that went through the Leap Squad program and more from there.
Hi, Keinan. Thanks again for having me too. So as you said, I have a lot of kids, 6 kids. Dominic and Titan are my youngest 2. They started Leap Squad be around 2012. Titan was 6th grade, Dominic was 7th grade. Best decision that we ever made, really. They continued on through Leap Squad that entire time. They graduated, Dominic in 2018, Titan 2019. Dominique did a 1-year gap year with Keinan, where she just trained with him almost like a pro athlete for an entire year before she went off to college, and competed at a lot of college meets, looking to make the USA team. Now Dominique is at University of Oregon, Tracktown, USA, and Titan is at UC Riverside. They're having very different experiences, which is interesting too. UC Riverside is very much treating track like a normal program, and the Oregon program is probably the most intense thing I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. Thank you for that, Frank.
Yeah.
And speaking next, there we go, is the mom of Anthony Victor. Cleo Victor will be speaking upon her son. She has 3 kids. Yes? 3. Perfect. 3, and they've been with me for, she'll tell you that information. But here's Cleo Victor.
Hi, thank you again for having me. Yes, I'm Anthony Victor's mom, and Anthony is a triple jumper. He's been with the program for about 4 years, I believe, and he went to Laguna Hills High School, went last year to Pomona, and he is going to be going to UC Santa Barbara this coming fall. I do have 2 other daughters that went the softball route and got their education all paid for, thank goodness.
Yeah, that's always a great thing. Okay, good. Okay, so I have a few questions for you guys. We'll start with, we'll go with Frank for the first question, and you guys can chime in after that. I'm going with Frank because the other families have had the experience with college athletes and that whole experience. So I'm gonna start with Frank. So the question I have is, what was your expectation of the college recruitment process before joining Leap Squad?
Honestly, my other 4 kids had already gone through the whole being good for sport. So we really came at this very new. We relied on Keinan for a lot of the information. Keinan really did set us up to understand what it was that we should expect and how the process would go. Yeah, I'd say I really went in naive in a lot of ways, but learned pretty quickly after our first visit. The first visit was in September, of Dominique's senior year. She went to LSU, and then quickly we did about 1 a month after that before deciding on our final school. Yeah, it was very unique. I mean, they try to overwhelm you. They try to show you all these really cool things, like bring you down on the football field and put you in a great suite in a hotel and take you out to great restaurants and, really get you interacting with the team and convince not just the athlete, but also the parent how great the school is and how good, how safe they'll be, how comfortable they'll be, how great their lives will be. It is a lot of the same from school to school, so it really takes a lot of looking more deeply into the program and trying to understand what exactly will my child's life be, like who will her coach be, how will she move forward, is there tutoring available, what kind of tutoring. I remember going to one school and there seemed to be tutoring, but it didn't really seem that serious. And then other schools where there was very, very strict tutoring, you had to be there at certain times, you had to put in your hours. So they're always making sure that the students were student athletes. They weren't just athletes. They were going to graduate. They were going to get their classes. They were going to have to perform. We did notice also that different schools had different requirements. Some have, some just go with the NCAA. I think it's a 2.3 GPA, and others have higher requirements. Like I think some of the UC schools was maybe even a 3.0, if I remember right. They just expect that from their student athletes if they want to compete. So yeah, we went from 0 to 60, just calling Keinan every day and saying, "Is this right? Just told me this. What do I do next?" Was our recruiting process.
Nice. And Cleo, you obviously are a veteran when it comes to that because it's been year after year. So what was your process? And also talk about your background in your occupation, which helped you.
Yeah, so I'm a school counselor, and I'm a school counselor for all grade levels from kinder to high school continuation. So I am familiar with what's expected for students if they want to go to college. Now, what I have found in my years is that there's a lot of confusion. A lot of kids and parents think that, oh, we need to make sure that we fulfill all the high school requirements. If we fulfill the high school requirements, we're good. We can go to college, and that's not the case. The high school requirements are one thing, the college requirements are another. The Cal State requirements are one, the UC is another. So parents really need to educate themselves on what it is that your child wants in the future. Do they want to go to a JC, Cal State, UC? What is it that they want? And just like he mentioned, all colleges are different. And there are some that are very strict. You have to do these hours, tutorial hours. And if you don't do your tutorial hours, you're not going to participate in the sport. So, and then there's some where they leave it up to them and they're not very on them. So you have to ask a lot of questions. With my first two girls, I was new and I wasn't sure like what I was supposed to ask. With my second daughter, I know a little bit more. And obviously with Anthony, my last one, I knew what to ask. And I was like, we need to ask this, this, and this, and this. However, because track is different, it's not like softball, I was coming in with, okay, what is Leap Squad going to do the same thing? Are they going to, is the coach going to recruit my son? Is he going to guide him for the best college that best fits his needs? So there were still some expectations on my part, like what's going to happen? How is he going to help him? And you did an excellent job in helping him and guiding him. And I thank you very much for that. So there are a lot of questions that parents do have to ask. And sometimes the problem is that they don't know what to ask. And I think that by you helping them what to ask, they're going to be better prepared.
Yeah. Thank you. And yes, I think that's a huge part is, parents, like, we don't know what we don't know. And
Right.
so when we get in a situation, it's like, oh my gosh, whatever big name school called me, what do I do? And then that's where it's back to the business concept of this person on this line is on the phone with parents all the time. They know what to say, and their job is to get that athlete in the uniform. Versus the parent might say, we need these 10 things, but they might be nervous to say that because, well, how do I say that when they're giving us this opportunity? So I think we'll get into that a little bit later on, but it's trying to figure out what needs to be said and what the requirements are, and educating parents, getting out and educating themselves on how do I get the best opportunity, for the kids. So thank you. And Jay, a little extra from you, just with, what you expected prior, to the recruiting process prior to Leap Squad. Is he frozen?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have to say that, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I can't see you.
I guess I'd have to say that, did I lose video?
Yeah, I lost video, but we can hear you, so we can continue.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess in sticking to the question, I mean, with regards to expectation of the college recruitment, I don't, I hadn't had a lot of experience with track and field, and both of my daughters had done a number of different sports. So prior to Leap Squad, getting into Leap Squad, I really, at the 6th grade level, didn't have a whole heck of a lot of expectations for the college process. Not only did we begin to learn what the ultimate goal was, as long as Maddie wanted to be a part of track and field at that level, which did she have a desire to participate and compete at the collegiate level. But it has been a learning experience throughout. And we continue to learn, even though she's already signed her scholarship and is preparing to leave for the fall. So, what were our expectations at that time? Prior to joining Leap Squad, we really didn't have any other than new sport, learn the culture, and hopefully she has fun and enjoys what she's doing. So
Nice. So I guess, another question is, and I'll probably ask this better, but what you learned from working with Leap Squad, as in, what did you learn with your athlete, your kids, what they brought back? As in, Mom, we worked on this and did these things. What did you learn from your kids about what maybe you didn't know that came with track and field or came with just this process? because, Cleo, you talked about, the softball world. You had been in it for so long. What are some things that kind of came up that you had no idea and was like, you know what, I got to grab this piece of information and continue to run with that? So I guess, Cleo, we can start with that.
Yeah, so track is a very different. One of the things that I had to learn was to give Anthony more responsibility on what he had to do and when he had to do it, with your guidance. Because with softball, everybody has to do batting, everybody has to do all these skills. With track, especially with him jumping, at times I would question, like, why are you not jumping? Like, how come you're not doing this? Like, shouldn't you be doing that? And he would come and educate me and say, no, Mom, first we have to work on this skill. And then we work towards the end, we work on the jumping. And the reason we do that is so that we don't get hurt. So he educated me quite a bit on the track, the jumping aspect of his career, athlete career. So that I learned a lot of. I learned from him just coming. I mean, he would come in the car and he would talk. And Anthony's kind of a quiet kid, but he would talk. Today we did this, and today I'm really sore. And he would just talk. And that showed me just the excitement that he had for the sport. He was very willing to just talk about it and what he learned. And then I also do appreciate, I have to say, that you would stay after at times and talk to him for as long as he needed to talk. And I really appreciated that, because he needed that in his life. He needed someone to just be there for him, a male figure to just be there and talk to. So he learned, I learned that. Just the training was different. I saw that he was becoming a leader with some of the other kids. Like, he wanted to teach them. He was there as, here, do it this way. Or, I saw a little bit of that from him, and just how hard he worked. I've learned that his work ethics were improved drastically. Like, he wants to be there, and I didn't have to tell him, and he was ready to go. And so I learned quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I really admire about him, is sometimes, I would give a workout to athletes and you'd be like, I hope they do it, and I would know based off of a week later, I would do something to test to see where they're at. And he was always on, so that was really good. I knew that he was doing the work. I could just send him a workout to do, and then it'd be done, and it'd be done right, so the whole village basically was all there for him, and you can tell. So it was really good support even at home. So I also thank you guys for that. Let's go with Frank. Frank, what? Yeah. We've been together for so long. I'm pretty sure there's a handful of stuff, but what do you think?
Yeah, this is a hard one to answer, because in so many ways my kids grew up with Leap Squad. They really did. And in that sense, Keinan was more than a coach. He was like a life coach or a mentor. I was trying to think about how I'd answer this question, and I think the thing that stood out immediately was the comment that I would hear you say all the time: trust the process. Because it's the same thing that Anthony's mom, Cleo, said about how you wonder why you're not jumping now. Well, after you've been there for a couple of years, and it really takes a couple of years to get it, you realize that there's a time of the season where you're just working on conditioning and making sure that all of these kids of different ages and different abilities are on a level where they can start to learn something, right? And it really is a development program. And then you go from that to just working on maybe some speed, and then maybe you're working on technique. We're talking about weeks or months. And you get into the winter season, and our kids are in trainers, and they're going from short approach, and the competition is in spikes going from full approach. And you see your little kid who's like 10 or 12, and the other kids are telling them, why are you so far up on the runway? You can move back. And your kid's saying, no, my coach says I have to stay here. But your kid doesn't understand why they have to be there. And the reason they have to be there is because that's where you're supposed to be in this program at that time of the year, right? You're working on something else, right? And then I remember, moving up to the advanced. My daughter Dominique, when she was doing that gap year, and she was so focused on trying to make the Olympics. She was so focused on trying to get that super big jump, that one that's just going to change everything in her life. And she would make mistakes and get frustrated. And she'd come out of the pit just like it didn't work. And then Keinan would be clapping. And Dominique would say, "Why are you clapping?" And he'd say, "Because your first phase was perfect." And that's what we're working on. We're working on the first phase. That's what we do today, right? That's what we're doing for the next month or whatever it is. It's that whole trust the process. That's what I got out of Leap Squad. It maybe hopefully teaching my kids patience, helping my kids to see sort of the long view, how this all comes together, being able to be more confident in themselves. There's too many things. I can't even think of all of it, but it's just been a great experience. It really has.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Jay, you're up.
I guess I'm going to jump all the way to the end, which is today, basically, and then be able to look back on everything that's happened over the past 6 years. And I would basically say this. Been involved in girls softball, been involved with girls soccer, volleyball, at all club levels. And I think the biggest takeaway through our experience, having been with you, Keinan, for 6 years, is it's been twofold. It's one, clearly, from a technical capacity. Every time we're at a track meet, people recognize Leap Squad athletes and who they're associated with from a coaching perspective, and the technical traits that you bring to the coaching techniques that you use. But it's something more than that. I think that unlike a lot of other sports that we've been in, there's the personal growth aspect. And I think that, Maddie and I have talked about this a lot, is that when you're an athlete and you interface with a number of coaches throughout your tiny career of 6th grade to 12th grade in high school, you realize that you've actually come across, volleyball coaches and softball coaches and soccer coaches. And the one thing that we have both looked at each other and come into an agreement with is that there's a personal growth aspect that we've never been touched in any other sport. It's always been very technical. Show up to practice, play the game, see it next practice. And with you, even within the practices, there's a time to stop. There's been several times that Maddie's had to stand up and address the group. It's not her comfort level. It's probably not even really her strength. I mean, I think that, relatively, she's a quiet individual. But the technical ability will get you noticed, but the character of who you are will give you longevity and will give you interest by the collegiate coaches that are looking. The jumping 40 feet in triple jump will shine a light on you as a female triple jumper, but it'll only get you so far if you can't present yourself in a manner that the coaches feel that you will bring something to the institution that you go to. And that's really important, because one thing that I have learned is that there is no athlete that transcends a collegiate institution. You're only there for 4 years. You come and then you go, and somebody else comes from behind. And so the one thing that we've learned is it's really through the interviewing process and meeting with the coaches is that, okay, you were recognized for your ability and the marks that you had, whether it's how fast you run or how high or how far you jump. But in the end, it's really how you present yourself. And it basically leads the coaches to think to themselves, is this who I want to spend the next 4 years with? Is this the type of athlete that I want to bring into my program? Do they understand where we're trying to take this group of individuals? It is a specific individual sport, but it's clearly, make no doubt about it, a team effort. And so you need to be able to fit into all aspects of that. So yeah, no doubt, you've taught her how to triple jump and long jump and run hurdles, but you've also taught her how to be the best person that she can be, because long after track and field is over, she's still going to be Maddie Lyon. So that means a tremendous amount to us, more than how far she jumps.
Yeah, I'm gonna second all of that. That was
Wow.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't know what to say, but thank you.
You got a lot of happy parents, is what you got.
Yeah, I receive everyone's message, and I really do appreciate all of it. Just so I don't get emotional, I'm gonna go to the next one. That kind of answered it, when it comes to your child's character and what you've seen. So that's it. So, I mean, I've been really intentional with, I tell them, if you're going to wear my t-shirt, you have to represent what Leap Squad stands for. And I don't want you just to be great and then everyone hates you. If everyone hates you, it's a reason. So why do they hate you? And they have to hate you, but they respect you. So it needs to come with, maybe you're stern and you're really assertive, but it comes off in a way that they say, you know what, I see why you're doing it and I want to go forward and follow in those footsteps. For you guys specifically, you guys were the best athletes at the school they attended. Damian Titan broke the school record at modern day. Anthony broke a school record. He was the first male athlete to make state or even CIF ever in the school history. Maddie was pretty much every award you could win, she won. And so, I tell them with that, people want to be you. Are you followable, if that's a word? Are they going to follow you and following the footsteps? And I remember when I was a freshman in high school, I looked up to all the seniors, regardless of how good they were. I just saw muscles and ability, and I'm like, I want to be like you. And I realized, not you, but maybe more of you. And I feel like as Leap Squad athletes, it's we have to support that brand and be that well beyond, like Jay said, well beyond the high school and collegiate and pro career if that is available. So I thank you guys. So the last question that I have for you guys is basically now that I put together this actual course, the 6-week course called Universal Athlete, to kind of run through it, basically, let me go to the my screen. So the 6-week course, it's a virtual program where basically I put together a PowerPoint presentation and I go through 6 elements. And the 6 elements, we talked about a few of them, but the first one is goal setting. It's how to set goals, and not only how to set them, but how to execute and finish those goals out. And every parent on here, you guys, the athletes set goals and they met them, and it's, some of them thought it was crazy when they were freshmen or sophomores, but, Anthony Victor improved 6 feet. That's a huge amount to cover in not even 2 years, excuse me, not even 2 years, but it was like 16 months, something like that, something ridiculous. Not 16 months, but 20 months, something like that. And so the first one is goal setting. The second one is nutritional awareness. There's eating healthy, but there's also eating for your cells, eating for your body to receive the nutrients so you can go perform. Because, I myself drank those little Red Bulls when they came out the first time because I needed energy, not knowing that that wasn't the best thing for my body to take. And I was just going just to perform better. But, when you get to college, you're going to have so much more freedom on food. And it's quick to eat the wrong foods. So the next part is time management, because obviously as an athlete, your life at home is how you compete. If you're not organized, meticulous, and all those things, it kind of comes into play on the track. And it shows in your communication, even with the college coaches. The next one was mental balance. Just I've noticed that during the age of 13 to 18, kids are looking around. Who do I want to follow? I have more freedom with choosing the clothes that I wear, the friends that I can pick, all those things. And you see a lot of good and a lot of bad, and they make a lot of mistakes. Sometimes they end up in ASB, they end up with friends, they're driving now, and all of a sudden they forget that, oh wait, I don't have time to compete because I'm so busy with all these things. How do you manage that? And then the last one basically is identifying yourself outside of an athlete. who are you? So for the parents' perspective, it's basically what's your backup plan, what's your plan B. But from the athlete perspective is, you're a superstar athlete, that's great, but who else are you? So with that being said is, for the parents, it's what element did you guys see which was the most beneficial for your athlete, whether it's just the leadership piece of it, whether it was just the dedication and being more focused? What part do you think was the most important part for your athlete specifically?
I'll jump in. Again, I'm going to go back to the end because I'm self-reflecting on, the 6 years that she's been with the Leap Squad. First and foremost, I guess I would say that I feel like she's gotten all of that. And I know you and I have talked about the program in detail. She hasn't gone through it, but yet on the back end, by default, she's experienced it to a certain extent. But I wish that it was available when she was in 6th and 7th grade, because I believe that all of these elements, you can't ever start them early enough. It's like learning the techniques of triple jumping. These are the techniques of building you nutritionally, building your mental thought process, building and developing who you are as an individual, and basically pushing you along to formulate the coming of age. So I think that, I'll say this with regards to your question. What did Maddie get out of it? I'll say hands down. I think for the longest time, she looked at herself as being a very mediocre jumper, didn't really know what all the hoopla was about. And I'd have to explain to her, just not a lot of people jump 40 feet in the triple jump. It's kind of a big deal. It's kind of an achievement that you should be proud of. And I don't think she's really gives herself enough credit. So I think that over the past couple of years, I don't know that it's necessarily self-esteem, but coming of age and realizing that if you're given a talent, that you respect the craft, you develop the craft. You don't have to be cocky. You just go about your business. You respect others, and you do your best. And if you are a leader, it'll be natural. I don't think that Maddie's a natural leader per se, but where I was going with this is, what has she gotten the most out of? The ability to push the boundaries, to explore those areas that are kind of outside the technical aspects of triple jumping, and really to push herself to, be more of a leader, or to take more responsibility of understanding that she does a pretty good job at what she does, and to go about her business with all of the respect that everyone else is due, but to also appreciate herself.
Yeah. And I think with Maddie, that's a huge part. Like you said, it wasn't like she wasn't, happy or anything like that. But, remember in eighth grade, she had a chance to break the Irvine Junior Games record, which at the time was Dami's record. But before that, it was a 30-year-old record, a 20-something-year-old record. And I was like, Maddie, like, you've been jumping this distance. This is possible. And her response to me was, I don't want to jump far because my friends are going to look at me different, and
yes,
when I saw that, when I heard that, I just told Jay, I was like, there's nothing I can say, I'm not going to push like my wants onto her. It was, okay, we'll go have fun. And then that was that. But after the fact, I let her know that what that took away from her, because if all her friends need a leader and she's saying, I'll be like you, not a leader, well, then someone's got to step up somewhere. And that conversation I had with her, like what you're saying, I think that's a part that coaches don't have these conversations unless you're outside of the sport. A simple phone call or just talking at the practice. You learn these things outside of the sport. So, yeah.
Well, I think you define that whole point in an earlier comment, and that is how you dealt with it at that time, because 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls are vulnerable. They work a lot differently than boys do. And a lot of coaches would say, who cares about your friends? Get out there and beat them, because you have the capability of doing that. But you know what? I don't think that would have been the right thing at that point in time. I think the right thing at that point in time is to slowly nurture her through the thought process and let her come to it when she's mature enough to come to it. And I think that started to happen in her sophomore and junior years, where she started to realize that I have to take responsibility for the craft. I put a lot of time into it. I should be, I should acknowledge myself for doing it, and it's okay. But yeah, early on, I reflect. I mean, when she used to play soccer as a little kid, she'd score a goal and then she'd cry. And I'd be like, why is that? And she was like, I just don't want people clapping and cheering me on and telling me what a great job I did. I just want to be out there and be a team player. And, and then I score a goal and I got to cry for 5 minutes. I'm like, I just, I don't get that. But, I had to just go, okay, you're going to have to process some of this on your own to a certain extent. So you helped her through that. And that I just can't even express enough how much that means, because there are certain things that a parent can't say to their child. And at the right time and the right opportunity, you said the right things. And so, as a parent, that means the world.
I have to say that boys also go through a big self-esteem, boys as well as girls, because, and I think how you've helped, and what he got out of it was that Anthony did not have great self-esteem. He's on the smaller side, and he always talks about that. Oh, I'm not big. I'm not that tall. And I've always said, it's not how tall you are, how muscular you are, is your performance. Let your performance do the talking for you. And look at, you're not big, but look at how well you're jumping. I said, so that's what counts. And not only that, but let your actions do the speaking for you. I've always told them that. Let your actions do the speaking for you in what you're doing, in your jumping, in your friendships out there with people, and how you treat people, because that's what's going to count at the very end. Your course is wonderful. And I do hope a lot of people take advantage of it, because I've been like you have around so many sports. And I got to share this real quick stories. In the softball world, there was this one girl who was a catcher. Everyone wanted her. UCLA, Arizona, Tennessee, the top schools for softball. Everyone wanted her. She couldn't get in any of them because she did not have the right, she didn't take the right courses to get into college. So that really set her back. She had to stay at a community college, get the courses required in order for her to move on. By you teaching them, guiding them, it's going to prevent situations like this. Another situation where there was this girl that, again, everyone wanted her, but there was an incident where they have where all these colleges come and they take a look at the girls play, and you play for the entire weekend, and colleges are rotating everywhere and watching them. Well, everyone wanted to go see this girl that everyone was talking about. After they saw her, not one of those top colleges wanted her. And the reason was her character. Yeah. She had a bad attitude. She struck out. She threw the bat. It was like, yeah, no, she's gone. We don't want her. And those are the things that the students, the athletes, the parents need to know, that character counts, and it counts quite a bit. And I think that by you having this course and teaching them all the little ins and outs of everything that's important is going to get them in a good place. So I think your course is going to benefit a lot of students, a lot of athletes. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And Frank, you got two different kids.
yeah, I was thinking they don't have self-esteem problems. That's for sure. Probably more self-critical, much more self-critical. They have very high expectations and get very frustrated. I was trying to think back on how this course relates to all the training that and all the years with Keinan. And I think the goal setting was a really big one. Just that regular goal setting. It's more, I sort of want to say, you don't want to take this course. You want to take this course every year. You need to just keep repeating over and over again, because you run into high school kids who I know have been with Keinan for 4 years, just in high school, maybe also on the club team, and they're still forgetting their sweatpants, on a cold day. Still, and Keinan says bring them every day. So it's not like you get to choose and you didn't know it was cold. Always bring them. They still forget them. Still forget. My son would show up with no socks constantly. Or, the best is when he showed up with 2 left shoes, literally. One new, one old. Yeah. But I take solace in knowing that, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, in 2016, English Gardner showed up for the 4x1 at the Olympic Games in Rio without her spikes. She ran in somebody else's spikes.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think this course addresses all of that and so much more, but it's habits. It's creating these healthy habits, thinking about where you are, where you want to be, making long-term goals, making weekly goals, setting up a plan to succeed. It really is. And you need to do that not one time. You need to just do this course or something similar to this course every year if you can, or more often if you can, because you have to keep putting those things into your children's heads and into your own head to help them become better people and to succeed. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you. There's all the questions I pretty much have. I wanted to have a little Q&A, but the technical difficulties kept us pretty simple. And I think it's actually better to keep it short and concise. But I guess the last thing is, what next for you guys? Because obviously, some parents have 1 or 2 kids and the kids go off. Like, what are you guys looking for now? And also, what's next that your kids are in college? And, for Cleo, all your kids are done, so, and they're out. So what's next with that? I know Jay has 1 more child, and Frank, they're out. So what's life like now for you guys?
Like for me personally, or with Anthony?
Personally.
Personally,
yeah.
For me, well, I'm a single mom with 3 beautiful kids, and I'm very involved in their lives. So I will continue to go see Anthony at his track meets. I take time off just to go see him. And time for me now, a little bit of time for me. I like to run. There's times where I can because I have a really bad knee, but I think it's time for me to get it fixed so that I can continue my joy of running. But mainly just be there for my kids. Yeah.
Nice. Frank?
Yeah, I thought it was funny when you said they're gone. No, they're not.
They never leave.
COVID and everything has just thrown a wrench in everything. We actually were expecting to just have a nice, quiet home with no kids. And of course, everybody came home. I've actually got 3 of my 6 living with me right now. And we're in a smaller place than we used to be. So we're just literally on top of each other, 2 of them in bunk beds. I mean, this is crazy. This is really crazy. I don't know how much longer this is going to last. Titan, my youngest, is at UC Riverside. He's talking about maybe commuting. So he may still be living with us at least in the fall. Or he may be just taking classes from here online. Dominique is at University of Oregon, keeps talking about going back. I'm skeptical that they're going to start training and everything. I really don't know what to expect. So I've prepared myself to spend the rest of this year, well, the whole school year, with kids in my house. And that's going to keep on going, and hopefully we'll survive. Longer than that, I mean, my oldest is 26, Yeah. Grandkids in Leap Squad, maybe.
Oh no!
I want to stay connected for as long as possible. I just love everything about it. It's a great program for the kids. Really, yeah. You've heard me say that. Okay, Jay.
I think with all my free time, I plan to take your class and apply some of the practices to my own life.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, that's pretty good. Yeah,
I'll be honest with you though. I have no idea. Go ahead.
I was
going to chime in. But
I was thinking of all of us, Jay's probably the one who needs it the most. That's for sure.
That's for sure. I mean, Lexi still has one more year in high school. We're heavily involved. She plays soccer and volleyball. I'm involved with the boosters, and I'm going to say the same thing that I said on the opening question. When we first came into Leap Squad, I had no expectations, and I didn't really know much. And now Maddie's going to go off to college, and other than the fact that I've been to college, I hope she doesn't take the route that I took. I really don't know what to expect. I just hope the best for her. And really at this point, you've done all you can do. We've done all we can do. And we've given her everything, and she's given herself everything. And now it's time to apply it. So we're just going to wait and see.
Nice.
I'd like to add that maybe not apparent to everybody that's listening, all of our kids are on scholarship for track because of Leap Squad, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's pretty amazing.
I know Jay and I spoke earlier about just putting out more stats, and I'm doing my research, put it out. But I mean, obviously there's like an asterisk next to them, but last year, every single kid that graduated is going to college, which is the first part. And I think all but one is going to college for track, and for me, that's exciting, and I want to keep that going. And so I even use those stats for the younger athletes, the ones who were in 6th grade, 7th grade, Valerie and Connor, who were 9 years old. It's like, hey, what school do you want to go to? Mm-hmm. And they obviously say, I don't know, but it's at least something. And then I have athletes on the team that are going to college, so they already just expect that. I didn't know about college, so I was in it. I showed up the first day. I'm like, oh, this is college. Okay, I get it. So I think just planting that seed and kind of getting that going and having that group around. And so what I'm moving forward now is trying to connect the older athletes to come back more often and just show their face and say, hey, this is what I'm learning so far, and speak to the athletes a little more often. So I have that in the actual course. I have my former athletes teaching a part of the course, because there's a perspective and connection that they're going to have that I'm not going to have, because I've been in college a long time ago, and so they're in it. And it's like, yesterday, this is what I learned, and this is how I applied it. So now those who are listening can apply those things also.
Yeah, I remember, going through the process, and it's great that element's going to be added to this, because I think they really need that. I mean, there's only so much you can say, and there's only so much a parent can say. But I remember you saying to Maddie, hey, find out who some of the athletes are, and reach out and talk to them, get their thoughts on what they think about the coach, what they think about the team morale, what they think about the campus and the classes that they take and the people that they hang out with. And I mean, I think that's important, not only just to tie yourself to the school that you want to go to, but to hear it from students that are already active at the college level, just to kind of hear their take on the things that they're doing and the way that they're navigating. I think that, having that as a resource is invaluable in preparation.
Thank you.
I think that's great that you're having the college kids talk to other students, because a lot of times that's where they really connect. And, as parents, we could tell our kids one thing over and over and over, and it goes here and it comes out there. But then somebody else tells them, and it's like, oh, like they never heard it before. A lot of times that same thing happens when a kid hears it from a peer. It's like, oh, okay, even though you've told them, it's like, oh, listening and hearing it from a peer makes a huge difference. So I think that's great that you're adding that. But I do want to say that just you being available to the athletes, even when they're in college, like, I really appreciate that, because Anthony is so comfortable in just calling you and just saying, no, I'm going to go and, go train. It's like, what? It's like, okay. But just you being available, and not like other coaches where they shut the door, you're done, you're in college, goodbye kind of thing. Now I have to get a new group in here. And you're not like that. And I really appreciate that a ton, because it just, the comfort level that these kids have around you is amazing. And as a coach, as a mentor, and I would have to say as a friend. So I really thank you tremendously for all that you have done.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I receive all of it and I appreciate all of it. Thank you so much.
I had one more thing I wanted to add. I was just thinking about what I said about how all of our kids are on scholarship. I was just thinking that, you know, for other parents that are looking at this program, there's two more things that you want to think about. One is that maybe you're targeting a specific school. Maybe you have a dream your kid's going to go to Stanford or something like that, and you're hoping they're going to get a scholarship to Stanford. Well, there are a lot of other schools that do give scholarships that we never think about. Being in California, of course, if you're in that area, you think about them. So we've, you know, through Keinan, we've had people at the Leap Fest that were from University of Nebraska, University of Oklahoma. I mean, all these other schools that I knew they existed, but I never thought about them for my child. And of course, once we started making those connections, and once we started, they have more money to spend on kids from California, for instance. I mean, it's, well, in our particular case, but anybody that's associated or that's gone through this program would suddenly become more aware of those kinds of opportunities. And then there's the other half of that, which we've seen with some of the athletes from Leap Squad, or people that have gone through this, basically through this course, not this formal course now that you've organized, but in the past, the one that Keinan had. People that got scholarships for universities, but they had their dream school in mind. And I can think of two girls in particular. I think one was pre-med, maybe Paula. Yep. And I think Simran, I'm not sure about Simran, but they had a school that they wanted to go to, and they weren't going to get a scholarship from that school. But the track coach acted as their champion and helped them get in, talk to the school and say, this is a kid I want. They're going to be a walk-on on my team. They're going to be part of the track team, you know, under my umbrella. And they got into their dream school. And how hard is that to get into dream school? I mean, most kids never do. So any way that you can open up the door. And I think this program helps you find other scholarships, other opportunities, makes you think bigger, like Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas, whatever those things are, Arkansas, but also opens up the door to other possibilities. People that never, they would just get your application, say, well, you look pretty good, but not good enough, pass. And then a coach is your champion and steps in and says, okay, they're good and I want them, so make an exception. Yeah, and I think that's something that's not quite understood by parents, you know, who think if I just fill out the form, everything will be fine. There's so much more to the college process than just that.
Yeah. I got one more question off of that. Is obviously I'm a track and field coach. That's the surface, right? Is there a benefit for all sports beyond track and field? Because if I'm watching this and say my kid plays football, how does this pertain to football? Like, what would be your response or opinion?
From my experience, sorry, I was just going to immediately, because my son also played football and decided to really focus on track in his senior year, which is, some people thought was crazy because his school, Mater Dei, won the national championship 2 years in a row. And he played the regular season, and just when track season started before the championship game, he switched into track so he could succeed in track. You know, this program, I think, if you go the football route, so much of it is with these agencies playing for envelopes and all these other, I can't even think of all of them, but they were approaching us and always looking for like $4,000, $5,000, basically to just make introductions with coaches, which you can do on your own if you really understand better what it is that you're doing, which would be, in our case, just having a conversation with Coach Keinan or you know, something like this program. I mean, understanding how you start that process, just start that process. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars to do it. You can just learn how to do it. Yeah.
I was going to say, this course is going to help any athlete, because a lot of the things that you pointed out on what it's going to cover, it's important for any sport. What are your goals for any sport? What are, you know, your character, how that is going to speak for you, no matter what sport you're in. So it is going to help every student, I mean, every athlete. Not only that, but in terms of paying, you don't need to pay anyone to do the recruiting. And it's sad that some parents feel like they have to because they don't know. But if they come and they know the basics, like, oh, all I have to do is, pick my 25 schools and write the letters of interest and those kinds of things, they're going to be able to do this on their own with your guidance, with your the knowledge that you're giving them. And they're going to be able to succeed and get their kids into college. Knowing the difference between, what's the D1, D2, D3, how much money do those schools have? And really, what's the priority? Is the priority to go and be the #1 athlete at that school? Or is the priority, I want to get into that school because that's the major and that's the school that focuses on my career, and I just want to do it for fun. So what's really the goal there? So it's going to help every athlete in any sport.
Thank you. And I guess, Jay, final thoughts? Anything else you want to add in? It's been a good hour.
I'm not even gonna touch that question because we're at the 7 o'clock mark, and that question is a webinar unto itself.
Yes.
So I'm gonna leave it at that. And I will say this: I mean, my daughter plays volleyball. My youngest plays volleyball, varsity volleyball for Woodbridge High and varsity soccer for Woodbridge High, and she's going to be taking the class. So it's not a class that's a track and field class. It's a class that's a developmental, personal developmental class that I believe everybody should take. And that's why, tongue-in-cheek, I said, I'll be taking it soon as well.
Well, great. You guys, thank you so much for the information. I was nodding my head the whole time because I was like, that is amazing. Learning from you guys as well, and just hearing your input, things you guys learned, the things that I was trying to get across that you guys 100% received and have been saying already as parents. So the fact that we're able to echo that from both perspectives is great. And then on top of that, the fact that every athlete has shown they know the process. Anthony negotiated his sliding scale. He negotiated a sliding scale scholarship. He said, if I jump this, will my improvements of my grants come? And they were like, yes. I didn't talk to Dami for I don't know how many weeks. And she was like, oh, I'm already made the phone calls. Yeah. I'm going here. Yeah. I found out the same day you found out. Yeah. I had an idea, but I didn't know. But the fact that they made the phone calls, they did all this stuff. It's like, I was like, wow, so I'm very thankful for you guys as parents and allowing me to be able to work with your kids. I'm thankful for your kids because they helped me learn things as an adult and as a person, as a coach. And the reason why I put this course together was because I saw their development and I wanted to give more kids this opportunity. So I really do appreciate this whole camaraderie and things like that. So thank you guys for even taking an hour to be with me in this webinar and pretty much give me praise, what it feels like, so I really do appreciate that so much.
Been a great experience. Really.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Keinan. All the praise is well-deserved.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Guys, thank you so much. For those who are watching, if you have any questions, let me know. If you want to talk to them directly for any assistance, I'm pretty sure they'll be open to that. And I can connect you guys via Zoom or whatnot. And again, you guys can reach me at info@KeinanBriggs.com. My website is KeinanBriggs.com. And the course is available now at Universal Athlete. So it's uniathlete.com. And just send me an email and I'll send you all the information from there. And thank you so much. So I will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.